Vin Ballin is back. Let's react. Right now we're gonna react to the biggest snubs and surprises of the NBA's official top 75 list. Now I expect to see Vince Carter here and Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, and Tracy McGrady and Klay Thompson probably. And yeah, Klay Thompson too. Kyrie Irving. There was a lot of players that was snubbed honestly, especially Dwight Howard, bro. I find it extremely disrespectful that Dwight Howard isn't in this top 75 list. He is a 100% a Hall of Famer and 100% deserving on being on this list. You could call the police for this, but honestly, let's just get to this video. This is a video by Andy Hoops.
So, the NBA officially released their 75 team. Basically, a huge panel of voters, which included current and former players, journalists, coaches, and team executives. They voted on the NBA's 75 greatest players of all time to celebrate the 75th season of the NBA. This is actually a huge deal because we rarely ever see the NBA release their own official all-time player rankings. Usually we have to watch foolish YouTubers like myself make those lists. The last time the NBA did this was 25 years ago, in 1996, to celebrate their 50th season, where they created a list of the 50 greatest of all time. Now, in this new 75 list, every player from that original 50 list is still included, plus an additional 25 new players. Well, actually, it's 26 new players,
26?
since there was a tie in the voting.
Oh.
How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and today I'm going to talk
I wonder
about
who
the
that tie
biggest
is,
snubs
though.
and biggest surprises of this list. Which players got surprisingly left out, and which ones probably don't deserve to be there. Alright guys, prepare the popcorn. Let's get started.
Alright, let's go.
Snub, Dwight Howard.
Andy Hoops. I agree with you, Dwight Howard should be a part of this list.
In my opinion, this is the biggest snub on the list.
Exactly.
And the sad part is, I saw this coming. I knew that Dwight had a bad reputation among the voters, but there's no way he should have been left out. Here's the list of the 26 new players added on.
Okay, Ray Allen, Okay. These are all legends. Those are expected and understandable. All deserving to be here. Okay. Yo, Damian Lillard is an amazing player, but... Well, Damian Lillard is one of the clutchest NBA players of all time. Yeah, I guess I'm okay with him there.
And a lot of these guys are so young. Dwight's had a better career than many of them. I'd say Dwight's career has been better than Carmelo Anthony's too.
I agree
Dwight
with that.
is an 8-time All-Star, 8-time All-NBA, 5-time All-Defense, and a 3-time Defensive Player of the Year. Plus, he led the Magic on an improbable run to the finals and got a ring with the Lakers as a productive player off the bench. And even though he never won MVP, he finished top 5 in voting for 4 different seasons. Compare that to Melo, who came from the same era. He's a 10-time All-Star and 6-time All-NBA, and that's it. I guess he led the league in scoring once too. But Dwight led the league in rebounds for 5 seasons and blocks for 2 seasons. I'm not saying Melo doesn't deserve it. I'm just saying if he's there, then Dwight should definitely be there too.
Exactly.
I think the voters knocked him down a few pegs for his longevity, as the last time he made an All-Star team was in 2014, at the age of 28. Afterwards, injuries and his refusal to accept a new role, those things hurt his image. Still, he did more in his first 10 years in the NBA than many of these guys did in their entire careers. Surprise, Damian Lillard.
Yeah, surprising.
One thing to note is that of the 26 new players added, 11 of them are currently playing. Of those 11 players, I feel like Lillard is the most surprising choice here. If you look at his peers, other players around his age, they've all done something special. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter ever. Multiple titles, led the Warriors to 73 wins, yada yada. Russell Westbrook broke like all the triple-double records. James Harden, you might say they have comparable careers, but Harden is arguably a top 5 shooting guard of all time. I mean, personally, I don't think it's arguable. I think he certainly is.
And he's one of the greatest scorers of all time too.
Anthony Davis and Kawhi Leonard are both decent choices too. They
Okay.
both won championships as a major piece on their respective teams. Kawhi's 2019 run in Toronto was legendary, and Davis has been the best or second best player at his position for so many years. Giannis is a one-generation athlete and also had a legendary finals run.
Yo, bro. I'm a Suns fan, but I have huge respect for Giannis. And the things that he achieved and accomplished in his short career, I think he's only been playing for like 7 years. I think this is its. I don't know if it's his eighth year or ninth year. I don't know honestly, but all the things that he achieved in that short amount of time, bro. Of course, Giannis is gonna be on there, and he's a Hall of Famer and legend, bro. And this is coming from a Suns fan, bro. This is coming from a Suns fan. This guy broke my heart during the finals, but the respect is still there.
While Lillard unquestionably has a great career from a pure numbers perspective, his resume does not stand out beyond that. Also, what makes his career better than somebody like Vince Carter, for example, who did not make the list? And that leads us to Snub, Vince Carter and Tracy
Exactly.
McGrady.
They're
Okay,
not on
bear
here.
with me here. For those of you who grew up watching the NBA in the 2000s, didn't we always think that Carter and T-Mac were better than Ray Allen and Paul Pierce? Or am I just not remembering it correctly?
Oh
Yet
wait,
Allen
what?
and Pierce made the list, but
People
Carter
thought
and
that?
T-Mac did not. I think the voters put a lot of weight into championships, especially that 2008 Celtics team. Because prior to 2008, Carter, Allen, and Pierce were all on similar playing fields, while T-Mac was seen as a better individual player than all of them. It's reflected in his accolades too. McGrady has way more All-NBA selections than any of them. Of these four players,
Bro, if
McGrady had the highest peak,
wasn't
but
injured,
also the
bro,
shortest career.
such a shame, bro.
Carter had the best longevity and a pretty long prime as well, yet the lack of titles hurt his resume. I understand why Allen and Pierce made the list. They have a combination of both longevity and championships. And I don't think they were surprising choices. It's just, I feel like Carter and T-Mac also deserved it. I guess there's not enough room. Surprise, Bob McAdoo. The thing that surprised me with McAdoo is that he's by far the oldest player that got added to this list. The dude got drafted in 1972, and I remember watching an episode of Open Court, where the guys discussed players who got omitted from the 1996 list of the top 50. Almost all of them agreed that McAdoo got snubbed, so it was nice to see him added on this time.
Oh, nice.
But the reason it surprised me was because I didn't think the NBA would go back that far to add him in. There's been a lot of favoritism towards newer players. There's been tons of superstars in the last 25 years, and I thought McAdoo would be forgotten. Thankfully, he isn't. He was one of the most influential big men in NBA history. A
Nice.
center with such a versatile skill set, who played like a guard. If you watch his highlights from back then, he was a sight to see in the 1970s.
Okay, I might watch it.
Snub, Tony
Of course,
Parker.
Tony Parker should be here. Tony Parker should be on the top 75 list. It's understandable that he was snubbed since he played with Tim Duncan, who is a top 5 player of all time, or even top 3 in my opinion, honestly. But that's my opinion. But honestly, Tony Parker should be here. He's even a Finals MVP, bro. And Tony Parker during his prime was one of the fastest players, bro.
It's kinda sad
I hope Ginobili's on here too.
only one player of the Spurs dynasty in the 2000s made it on this list.
Facts.
Obviously, Tim Duncan made it, but neither Parker nor Ginobili did. I think Parker had a great case. If you're a 4-time champion, 4-time All-NBA, 6-time All-Star, and the starting point guard on a legendary Spurs dynasty, I feel like you should make the list. You add on his Finals MVP in 07, where he absolutely shredded the Cavs. Parker has such a good case to make it. Unfortunately, I think his numbers held him back. He doesn't have the raw stats of somebody like Damian Lillard. Parker is a guy.
But that just shows you that the stats don't show the full story. They don't show the impact on the floor.
Had to watch to appreciate. His game was unique, completely different than any other point guards of his era. Up until today, he's still the only point guard in NBA history to lead the league in points in the paint for an entire season. That stat is still absurd to me. Surprise, Reggie Miller.
Okay, bro. No disrespect to Reggie Miller, but I'm honestly surprised too. Like I know that he's a legendary player, and yeah, he's a legendary player, one of the greatest shooters of all time, and also clutch. But if the votes consist of accolades, yeah, I don't think Reggie Miller really is a surprise. No disrespect though, he's a legend.
Reggie is one of those guys who, if you watch any highlight reel from the 90s, you would think Miller was like a top 5 player in the league. Because you see him so often, he's had so many iconic playoff moments,
Facts.
and you can't help but think he's an all-time great. However, in reality, Reggie's only accolades include 5 All-Star selections and 3 All-NBA third-team selections. No championships. Granted, he did play in the same era and same conference as Michael Jordan, so we gotta cut him some slack. Reggie got in mostly for his memorable playoff performances, but also his longevity. He played 18 seasons and about 1,400 total NBA games. As a pure talent, his ceiling was never as high as other shooting guards I mentioned earlier, but his legacy was far greater.
Oh, and he's one of the clutchest players too.
Not bad for a lanky guy out of UCLA. I'm happy he got voted in, but still I was
Hey, the
surprised
joke.
too, due to his lack of awards. I guess this further shows how much more weight
Honestly, I think it's more surprising that he doesn't have that many awards. Honestly.
put on longevity. Snub, Pau Gasol.
Oh, Pau Gasol.
I made a video about the Gasol brothers recently, so if you want to hear me talk more about them, you can watch that video. In 18 seasons, Pau accomplished so much. When he first came in, he brought a totally different look for a power forward. Pau had the aggression and post-up skills of a typical big man, but he also brought a level of finesse, a soft touch, and incredible court vision that was unheard of at his position. He carried the Grizzlies to their first ever playoff appearances and eventually became a critical piece to the Lakers' championship runs. Plus, his longevity is severely underrated. Even up until his mid-30s, he was still producing, still making All-Star teams. Pau concluded his career as a 6-time All-Star, 4-time All-NBA, and 2-time champion.
Okay.
Although, I'm not sure if this NBA Top 75 list includes international accolades too. Pau certainly would benefit from that. Back in his prime, he was a top 5 power forward, and for a short period between 2008 to 2010, he might have been the best power forward, a criminally underrated player.
I still think it's Duncan though.
And let's take a look at another
Bro, Joe Dumars didn't make it, bro. Bro. Okay, now that's disrespectful. That's disrespectful.
Dumars. Probably the most underrated player of all time. People forget that Dumars actually won the Finals MVP in 1989. He led the Pistons to their first ever championship. Known by Michael Jordan as the toughest defender,
But for me, the most underrated, severely underrated NBA play of all time had to do with the Pistons. I think it was 1990, yeah, when, I don't know, I forgot his name. When Vinnie Johnson made that shot with 0.7 seconds left to win the championship for Detroit.
ever went up against, Dumars was a powerhouse on the perimeter. Despite being an undersized shooting guard, he held his ground to the tune of 5 All-Defensive nominations. Even in his playing days, he never got enough credit. Another snub I should mention is Alex English. In the 1980s, an era dominated by Magic and Bird, it was English who scored the most points of that decade. Of course, that was mostly because the Nuggets were playing at a breakneck pace. The fastest team in the league, which greatly suited his playstyle. English was a natural scorer, a small forward who was ridiculously efficient for that era. It led to 8 All-Star selections, and he led the Nuggets to many deep playoff runs.
Sorry guys, kinda sleepy. But
Before we finish this video, I also wanted to list a few players who will most likely be on the next list, when they do, like a top 100 list, to celebrate the NBA's 100th season.
I'm pretty sure they will.
Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic.
Yo, where is Devin Armani Booker, bro? Where is Devin Armani Booker? Bro, the disrespect, bro. I can't take it. Where's Booker, bro? He's literally better than all of these guys. Come on.
Embiid, Trae Young, Jason Tatum, and probably Zion
Bro, Devin Booker's better than all of these guys. Devin Booker's better than all of these guys, bros.
Williamson, if they keep building their careers.
Come on.
They'll certainly be on the next list. Some people were angry that some of these young guys were not on there, even if they already deserve it.
Seriously?
But I think it's fair. Remember back in 1996, Shaq was only in the league for 3 years, yet he still got voted in.
Oh yeah, I know about
That was
this.
so controversial back then, since he was so young, and he made the list over established guys like Dominique Wilkins, who thankfully made it this time.
Nice.
Anyway, that's all folks.
Alright you guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace.